Ah, yes. Here we are again, the Marijuana Times Show for December 22nd, 2017. I'm your host, Joe Klare. Hello, everyone. Last show of the week. Thank you all for checking us out, sharing, liking all these videos, etc. Make sure you check out myself and many other great writers over at marijuanatimes.org for the latest in the cannabis community and industry. And of course, you can find these videos there as well and share them on your social media networks. A lot of great stuff to get to today, including an update of medical marijuana in Florida, as well as post office policy as far as depictions of cannabis on postage stamps, and also the marijuana breathalyzer. That's right. You knew it was coming, or at least you probably knew it was coming, and apparently it is. First, of course, I want to tell you, the Marijuana Times Show is brought to you by NatureSideCannabis.com, organic, all-natural pesticides. If you need to be regulatory compliant in your state, places like Colorado and Washington and Oregon all have regulations concerning pesticide use. You don't want to be using harmful chemicals. And your customers ingesting harmful chemicals, harmful pesticides that you used during your cultivation. You want all-natural organic pesticides, and of course you can get those from NatureSideCannabis.com. They can also help you become regulatory compliant. They're safe for everyday use. Grow poison-free with NatureSideCannabis.com. Today's first story comes from marijuanatimes.org. Florida judge to hear case against state's Smokeable Cannabis Ban. If you haven't been following this story, Amendment 2 passed. The medical marijuana law passed with 71% of the vote in 2016, legalizing medical marijuana for many conditions back then. And of course, the legislature had a long slog through getting regulations together for the medical marijuana program, and they included a ban on smokable cannabis. The man behind, at least the financer behind the Amendment 2, Orlando Attorney John Morgan, said that is not in the spirit. That's not part of what they were trying to do. Many patients use smokable cannabis. So he's suing the state to include smokable cannabis in the medical marijuana regulations. Even before the bill regulating medical cannabis was passed by lawmakers, Morgan had promised he would sue the state if they follow through with their proposed ban on smokable cannabis. The initial lawsuit states, quote, by redefining the constitutionally defined term medical use to exclude smoking, the legislature substitutes its medical judgment for that of a licensed Florida physician and is in direct conflict with the specifically articulated constitutional process, which is a very long-winded legalese way of saying that the state is wrong and that it needs to be changed. Basically, Morgan's point is that since smoking was specifically outlawed in public places, that implies that it is allowed in private residences. The state disagrees. Morgan said at a press conference announcing the lawsuit in July, quote, if something is not allowed in public, it is allowed in private. This is clear to all of you, as it is to any first grader taking first grade logic. Apparently, January 25th is when Leon County Circuit Court Judge Karen Grievers will be hearing the case. The state has filed a motion to dismiss the case, but Morgan believes that there is definitely grounds, which means this is likely the first of many court dates before the judge will determine whether it is unconstitutional for the state to ban smokable forms of cannabis. So that's likely to drag on for quite a while, and we'll see how that goes. We'll keep you updated with how things are going in Florida. This next story comes to us from marijuanamovement.net. No marijuana pics on stamps, Postal Service says, but alcohol and tobacco, okay. Custom postage stamps may not contain any images of marijuana, even though some depictions of alcohol, tobacco, and guns are allowed. That's part of the final ruling the U.S. Postal Service is expected to release this week. Hey, brace yourself for more legalese. The agency said a new filing schedule will be published on in the Federal Register. Quote, to be eligible for use in customized postage products, images and or text must meet criteria established by the Postal Service. Acceptable commercial and social images or text must not contain content that is unsuitable for all ages or audiences. including but not limited to any depictions of controlled substances, including but not limited to marijuana. Did you follow all of that? They were originally going to keep out any references or any depictions of alcohol, tobacco, gambling, and weapons, but the Postal Service agrees that allowing incidental depictions of these prohibited categories of content contained within otherwise eligible images would be consistent with the program purposes while maintaining or increasing revenues. For example, an image of a toasting wedding celebrants may remain eligible despite depictions of alcohol. An image of armed services member may remain eligible despite depictions of weaponry, and so on. So you get the point. If they're, if people are toasting at a wedding and that's on a stamp, that's alcohol. They'll allow that. Obviously if a service member is holding their M16 or whatever, that's allowable. But no depictions whatsoever of marijuana will be allowed on postage stamps, which is not surprising. I mean, it is illegal on a federal level still. And again, the federal illegality of marijuana is going to come into play in many, many ways, including this way. It would be hard to see that the post office was run by the federal government and owned by the federal government and operated by the federal government would allow, a big wheat leaf on a stamp when it's a federally controlled substance and is illegal in Schedule 1 and all of that. So that is what the post office is up to. No weed stamps, at least not for now. Last but not least, this story comes from BoulderWeekly.com. Enter the marijuana breathalyzer. One of law enforcement's great frustrations with legal marijuana, of course there are many, and anti-legalizers' perennial talking points has been in the absence of a reliable way of determining if someone has been driving while stoned. The problem is that the traditional methods of testing for whether someone has been using marijuana, like urine tests, hair tests, and even blood tests, don't account for how long THC has been in a driver's system. It can be a month or more, and they don't reveal if the driver is actually impaired when he or she was pulled over. There's no marijuana breathalyzer that allows cops to administer the sort of instant roadside sobriety test typically used to measure impairment from alcohol. That, however, may be about to change. A couple of companies are developing breathalyzers for marijuana. One of them, Hound Labs, an Oakland, California-based startup, has been field testing its device. According to a list of answers to frequently asked questions posted on the company's website, the Hound breathalyzer detects THC particles in a person's breath in just minutes and, quote, and measures to very low levels, parts per trillion. The reason this capability is so important is that THC stays in breath approximately 2 hours, which aligns with the actual window of impairment, the company says. The company also says the device can measure both smoked marijuana and edibles, a capability it calls, quote, truly groundbreaking. Now, again, a lot of this is going to be subjective. 2 hours. If someone smokes marijuana, are they still impaired after 2 hours? It depends on their tolerance, obviously. If they ate an edible, it's going to be beyond 2 hours, their impairment. So it's still going to rely a lot on how they were driving and the subjective feelings of who pulled them over, if they are impaired. It's an advancement in technology, but it's still not going to tell you whether someone is impaired on marijuana. Not in the same way that alcohol can be measured. So the problem is going to continue, but obviously a lot of companies are working on this as far as the technology and advancing the technology. It's definitely an advance to detect THC in someone's breath or on someone's breath. Basically, if you live in a state that has legalized marijuana, of course, driving while impaired under marijuana is banned. What you're going to want to do is not use marijuana for several hours before you go out to drive, because if you do, even if you're not impaired and you blow into this thing that says you have THC in your system, you're probably going to get a ticket or whatever the punishment is in your state as far as that goes. So maybe we'll help a little bit. It's definitely an advance over, say, I smoked a joint or two on Saturday night. Now I'm going to work on Monday morning, and there's THC in my system, but I'm obviously not impaired because I haven't smoked since Saturday night. So it's definitely an improvement, but it's not. It's still going to be a lot of subjective input as far as whoever pulls you over. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. We'll update you on all these stories, of course, as time goes on. Thanks, everybody. Another great week of the Marijuana Time Show. It's December 22nd, 2017. Next week is Christmas. So if I don't see you all, or you don't see me, rather, you don't check out these videos next week. Merry Christmas. Have a great weekend. Thank you to naturesideCannabis.com. All natural, organic pesticides, great sponsor of the show. If you want to sponsor the show, info@marijuanatimes.org. Send us an email and let us know that you want to sponsor the show. Like, comment, share all these videos. Help us spread the truth about cannabis as you have been. Check out all the great stories on marijuanatimes.org. And again, as always, thank you for checking out the show, and we will see you all next week.